Have you ever felt different? Not just unique in your interests or talents, but deeply different. Like the rhythm of life beats differently in your soul. Perhaps, in the quiet moments of solitude, you've sensed an unseen presence gently nudging you, reminding you that your journey holds a deeper purpose. If you've ever had that unmistakable inner whisper urging you to look beyond the surface, you might be one of the rare few, the chosen ones. In every era, across every culture, there have always been individuals who walk a path that others cannot see. They are often misunderstood, even isolated, but they shine with a light the world cannot ignore. These are the ones marked by something divine, something extraordinary. Today, we're going to uncover 10 powerful spiritual signs that often mark a soul chosen by higher forces. As we explore each one, allow yourself to reflect deeply. You may just discover that you are far more powerful, more called, and more spiritually aligned than you ever imagined. Sign 1. Unexplainable synchronicities. The language of the universe. There are moments in life that feel strangely perfect, too timely, too precise to be mere coincidence. For the chosen ones, these moments happen often. They're called synchronicities, and they serve as subtle signs that the universe is in conversation with your soul. You might be thinking of someone out of the blue and just then they call. Or a rare symbol appears repeatedly, in books, on signs, even in dreams, until its deeper meaning becomes impossible to ignore. These experiences feel magical, but they are more than that. They are markers of alignment. For those on a higher spiritual path, synchronicities appear when something important is unfolding. They are quiet nudges from the divine, steering you toward truth, healing, or clarity. Over time, you begin to recognize these moments as part of a larger tapestry. They remind you that you are not wandering aimlessly. You are being gently guided, step, by something greater. Sign 2. Heightened empathy. Feeling the world in your bones. Being chosen often means carrying more than your own emotions. It means sensing the heartbeats of others as if they were your own. This is the gift and the burden of heightened empathy. You don't just notice someone's sadness, you feel it, heavy and real. Their joy becomes your joy, their pain, your ache. In crowded spaces, this can become overwhelming. The weight of unspoken thoughts, silent struggles, and hidden wounds floods your senses, sometimes without warning. But this empathy isn't limited to people. Many chosen souls feel deeply connected to animals, plants, and even spaces. A wilting flower may stir sorrow in your chest. A distressed animal may draw you in like a magnet. This connection isn't imagined. It's intuitive, spiritual, and very real. Though it can be draining, this empathy is also a sacred gift. It gives you the power to comfort, to understand without words, and to heal simply by being present. The world feels deeply because you feel deeply, and in that lies your strength. Sign 3. Vivid prophetic dreams, messages from the beyond. For many chosen ones, nightfall marks not an end, but a beginning. While the world sleeps, their spirit awakens, stepping into a dream realm rich with meaning and mystery. These dreams are not vague or forgettable. They're vivid, emotionally charged, and often linger long after waking. You might wake with a racing heart, a clear memory, or a deep sense that something important just happened. And more often than not, it did. Prophetic dreams can show you places you've never visited, until you do. They echo future conversations, unlock buried emotions, or bring messages through symbols, signs, or even loved ones who've passed on. These aren't random scenes. They are sacred messages, whispers from a higher realm, wrapped in the language of imagery and feeling. To dream like this is to live between two worlds. And for the chosen, both are equally real, equally meaningful. Sign 4. Communication with spirit guides. You are never alone. There are times when you sense a quiet presence nearby, gentle, calming, and undeniably real. It's not fear you feel, but peaceful. For many chosen ones, this is the first sign of connection with a spirit guide. These guides aren't figments of the mind. They are wise, unseen companions assigned to support your journey. You may first notice them in meditation, prayer, or silence, a thought that brings clarity, a feeling that you're not alone. As your awareness deepens, so does the connection. You might begin to notice symbols, repeating numbers, or sensations that seem to arrive right when you need them most. Some guides walk with you for a lifetime, others appear during key moments of growth. This sacred bond doesn't require perfection, just openness. And when you truly listen, you'll discover you've never been walking this path alone. Sign 5. Seeing auras. The colors of the soul. Some chosen ones possess a rare and beautiful gift, the ability to see what lies beyond the surface. They see auras, the subtle energy fields that surround all living beings. At first, it might appear as a soft glow or a flicker of color around someone's body. But with time, it becomes more vivid. Colors tied to emotions, health, and even spiritual state. A vibrant blue may signal calm wisdom, a fiery red, intense energy, a murky gray, hidden pain. These colors are not just visual. They are emotional signatures, revealing what words often cannot express. To see auras is to perceive the unseen truth in others. It brings both insight and responsibility. In crowded spaces, the swirl of energies can be overwhelming, but with grounding, this gift becomes a powerful tool for healing and connection. Through this lens, chosen ones see the soul, not just the skin, and in that vision, they offer light. Sign 6. Inexplicable physical sensations. The body awakens. For the chosen ones, spiritual awakening often begins in the body. Long before the mind understands, the body feels. You may experience strange, unexplainable sensations, tingling in your hands, warmth in your chest, pressure on your forehead, or sudden waves of energy flowing through your spine. These aren't random. They are signs that your energy centers, your chakras, are activating. Some feel these shifts during meditation or moments of deep emotion. Others experience them in nature or during sudden bursts of clarity. You might feel a flutter in your heart when truth is spoken, or a chill when entering a spiritually charged space. These sensations aren't cause for fear. They are confirmations. Your spirit is waking up, and your body is responding. To feel this way is to be alive in a deeper sense. The physical becomes a gateway to the spiritual. And in that awakening, you begin to walk your path with greater awareness, guided from within. Sign 7. Repeating numbers, angelic whispers and digits. Why does 1111 keep showing up? Could it be more than coincidence? Not a coincidence, but a quiet nudge from the universe. Or notice the same number sequence, 222, 444, 777, following you everywhere? For the chosen ones, these aren't coincidences. They are messages, gentle whispers from the divine, delivered in numbers. Each repeating sequence carries meaning. 111 may signal a new beginning. 333 might remind you of spiritual alignment. 555 often points to transformation ahead. These numbers tend to appear in moments of doubt, decision, or awakening, as if the universe is saying, "You're not alone. Keep going." Over time, chosen souls develop an inner sensitivity to these signs. They begin to understand that numbers are more than math. They're spiritual codes, woven into everyday life. When you start to notice these patterns, don't ignore them. Pause. Reflect. You are being guided, quietly, constantly, by a language older than words and as precise as light itself. Sign 8. Deep connection to nature. Earth as sacred teacher. For many chosen ones, nature isn't just a place, it's a presence. There's a quiet, sacred bond that connects their spirit to the earth, the trees, the sky. Time spent in nature doesn't just refresh them, it restores them. As if the wind itself is whispering wisdom only their soul can hear. You might feel a deep love for animals, or an instinctive desire to protect forests, oceans, and all living things. Even plants may respond to your presence, thriving under your care, as though they recognize you. In moments of stillness, You may sense the heartbeat of the earth or feel messages riding the breeze. Nature becomes your sanctuary, your teacher, and your mirror. This connection isn't random. It's a reminder that you, too, are part of creation. That the divine speaks not only in dreams or visions, but through sunlight, through soil, and through the sacred silence between the trees. Sign 9. Sense of greater purpose. A calling you cannot ignore. From a young age, many chosen souls carry a quiet but persistent feeling. I'm here for something more. It's not about fame or fortune. It's about meaning. Even in moments of confusion or hardship, there's an unshakable sense that your life has purpose, that you were meant to impact the world in a way only you can. This inner calling may not come with clear instructions, but it whispers in your decisions, your dreams, your restlessness. Ordinary paths may feel suffocating. Shallow conversations may drain you. You crave depth, truth, and alignment with something greater than yourself. For the chosen, this purpose isn't about personal gain. It's about service, healing, awakening, uplifting others through your unique gifts. And even when the road feels unclear, that inner pull won't let go. Because it's not just a desire, it's a divine assignment. One that's been woven into your soul since before you were born. Sign 10. Spiritual crises and awakening. Fire before flight. For many chosen ones, awakening doesn't begin in light. It begins in darkness. Before stepping into purpose, they pass through seasons of pain, loss, isolation, confusion, or emotional collapse. These spiritual crises feel like the breaking of everything, but in truth, they are the unfolding of who you really are. You may have questioned everything, your beliefs, your worth, even your place in the world. But that collapse wasn't an end. It was an invitation. Like the phoenix, you had to burn before you could fly. Through this fire, illusions fall away. What remains is your truth, your resilience, and a soul forged by flame. You begin to see with new eyes, love with deeper compassion, and rise with purpose you couldn't access before. Spiritual crises are not punishments, they are initiations. And for the chosen, they mark the moment when life stops being ordinary and starts becoming divine. If any of these signs stirred something within you, trust this. Your presence here is no coincidence. You are part of something greater, called to awaken, to heal, and to shine. Your journey may not look like anyone else's, but it is sacred, powerful, and needed. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If this message spoke to your soul, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your presence here matters, and together, we'll continue exploring the beauty, depth, and purpose of your spiritual journey. Have you ever felt the weight of something you couldn't explain? An invisible burden pressing on your soul, even when everything on the outside seems fine? You try to do what's right. You walk in obedience. And yet, life feels heavier, lonelier, more painful than it should. That quiet ache inside you. It's not a flaw. It's not a sign that you've done something wrong. In fact, it may be a sacred whisper, a sign that you have been chosen. To be chosen by God is not to walk a path of ease, but a path of depth. It's not smooth or simple. It's sacred. It calls you to carry things others may never see or understand. But this calling isn't meant to crush you. Like fire that refines gold, it is meant to shape you into something stronger, purer, and deeply beautiful. In this message, I want to walk beside you through 5 spiritual struggles, deep pains that only those truly set apart by God experience. And if these words stir something within you, take heart. You are not walking this road alone. You are not forgotten. You are fully known, fully seen, and deeply understood, especially in the eyes of heaven. So come with me. Let us begin this journey, soul to soul, spirit to spirit, and discover the purpose within the pain. 1. The pain of rejection. When your light becomes too bright for their darkness. One of the first signs that you are chosen by God is the quiet, painful experience of being rejected. Not for what you've done, but for who you're becoming. You begin to notice it slowly. Friends drift away without reason. Family members start treating you differently. Invitations stop coming. The phone grows silent. You replay conversations in your head, searching for something you said or did wrong. But the truth is deeper than that. You haven't changed. Your light has. And as your relationship with God deepens, your presence begins to reveal what others would rather keep hidden. Those who are still comfortable in darkness will often resist the one who walks in light. It's not that you've judged them or criticized their choices. Your very existence, a life aligned with truth and conviction, confronts the compromises they've made. It's easier for them to reject you than to face the conviction rising inside their own hearts. Even Jesus faced this. His hometown rejected him. His own brothers doubted him. "Isn't this just the carpenter's son?" they scoffed. If the Son of God experienced rejection, should we expect less? But this pain is not without purpose. Rejection teaches you to rely less on human approval and more on God's. It filters out the wrong voices so you can hear His more clearly. What feels like abandonment is often divine protection. God is not punishing you. He's positioning you. Let go of who walked away. You're being prepared for who's coming next. 2. The ache of purposeful loneliness. A silent calling. Few can hear. There's a kind of loneliness that runs deeper than silence. A solitude that lingers even in the middle of a crowd. You laugh, you talk, yet inside, there's a quiet ache. A sense that no one truly understands the weight you carry. This isn't because something is wrong with you. In fact, it's often a sign that something sacred is being stirred within you. When God sets someone apart, He often leads them through seasons of purposeful loneliness. Not to harm them, but to draw them closer. You begin to think differently. While others talk about success, you're consumed with purpose. They worry about today. You sense the weight of eternity. You try to explain, but the words feel too heavy, too deep. So you stay silent. Not out of fear, but because your calling speaks in a language few understand. Even Jesus faced this kind of solitude. In the Garden of Gethsemane, surrounded by disciples who couldn't stay awake, He wrestled alone with the weight of destiny. The chosen often walk this same path, carrying visions too big to explain and questions too sacred to voice. But this loneliness is not a void. It's a classroom. It's in the silence of people that God's voice grows clearer. In the absence of human connection, divine intimacy is born. And though this ache cuts deep, it also shapes you. Because those who are called to lead tomorrow often walk alone today. You are not abandoned. You are being refined. 3. The inner war, when you battle. What others seem to ignore. There's a battle that no one sees, a war waged not around you, but within you. And for those whom God has called, this inner conflict often feels relentless. You love God deeply. You long to serve Him fully. Yet somehow, you find yourself stumbling over the same temptations, falling short in moments you swore you'd rise. You wonder, what's wrong with me? Especially when others seem to walk in peace, untouched by the same struggles. But here's the truth. Your war is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of spiritual awareness. The chosen are deeply sensitive to the Holy Spirit. You feel conviction more sharply. You wrestle harder because you refuse to settle. Like Paul, who said, "The good I want to do, I do not do. But the evil I don't want to do, this I keep on doing." Even he, an apostle of faith, understood the agony of this daily war. The enemy targets you not because you're failing, but because you're dangerous to his kingdom. The higher your calling, the more strategic the attacks. If you're meant to lead, he'll tempt you with pride. If you're called to worship, he'll lure you with vanity. These are not random, they're personalized to your purpose. While others seem to drift comfortably, you fight. And that fight is proof you're still resisting, still growing. This inner war is not your defeat. It is the furnace in which your faith is refined. Stand firm. You're not losing, you're being forged. 4. The burn of holy renunciation. Letting go of what you love. One of the most painful parts of being chosen is not letting go of what's bad. It's letting go of what's good. Sometimes God asks you to release things that seem right. A stable career, a cherished friendship, a promising opportunity. These aren't sins or distractions. They're blessings. Just not your blessings. Not for this season. Not for the purpose He's building in you. And that's what makes the letting go so difficult. The heart asks, why would God ask me to give this up? But the answer is rarely about the thing itself. It's about the space it takes. God often removes what's good to make room for what's divine. Throughout Scripture, the called were required to surrender what was comfortable. Abraham left his homeland. Moses walked away from royal privilege. Paul laid down status, knowledge, and influence for something greater. Their sacrifices were not losses. They were preparations. Renunciation for the chosen is not punishment. It's pruning. It's the refining process of removing anything that could slow you down, even if it once served a purpose. And yes, it burns. But it also makes you lighter, stronger, more focused. Every no you say to the world is a louder yes to God. And while others chase comfort, you choose calling. Because deep down, you know, the cost of obedience is high, but the reward of purpose is eternal. You're not giving up. You're growing up. 5. The weight of waiting. When God's silence feels like absence. Perhaps the hardest part of being chosen is the waiting. You've received the promise. Maybe through a prophetic word, a dream, or a deep inner conviction. At first, it ignited hope. You were ready, expecting doors to open, favor to flow, and timing to align. But then, silence. Days turn into months, months into years, and still, no breakthrough. The worst part isn't just the delay, it's the silence. You pray, but heaven seems quiet. You worship, but feel nothing. You revisit the promise, only to wonder, was it ever real? Or was it just me? This is the weight of waiting, the sacred space between what God has spoken and when He fulfills it. And in that gap, doubt can creep in. You start comparing yourself to others whose journeys seem faster, smoother, more visible. Their testimonies feel like salt in your wounds. But waiting is not wasted. It's where faith matures. It's where character is built. Joseph waited in a prison. David waited in caves. Both were called long before they were crowned. And their waiting wasn't a delay. It was a divine setup. Sometimes God isn't saying no. He's saying, not yet. I'm still preparing you. Because the greater the promise, the deeper the foundation must be. So hold on. What feels like divine distance is often just God working behind the curtain, aligning everything for the right moment. His silence is not absence, it's trust. He knows the weight you carry, because He placed it there for a reason. And in due time, it will speak. If these words stirred something deep within you, if your heart whispered, "This is me," as you listened or read, know this. You are not alone, and you are certainly not forgotten. You are chosen, called for something greater than the ordinary. The pain you felt, the rejection, the loneliness, the battles no one sees, none of it is wasted. In God's hands, it is all part of your preparation. Every tear is counted. Every silent prayer is heard. Every step you've taken in the dark is leading you closer to the light of His promise. So don't give up. Don't let go. What God is doing in you is bigger than what you can see now. Your process has purpose, and your story will inspire others in time. Thank you for walking this journey with us today. If this message spoke to your heart, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. Here, you'll find more encouragement, more truth, and a growing community of people just like you, chosen, called, and being refined for something eternal. You are seen, you are loved, and yes, you are chosen. We'll be right here, walking with you every step of the way. Why is it that those called to a higher purpose often face the deepest battles with lust? It's a struggle shrouded in silence, yet more common than you might think. The reasons behind it are both profound and unsettling. If you're feeling overwhelmed by this silent battle, you're not alone. In fact, there's a biblical explanation for it. There's a reason why those called by God often face relentless warfare, especially in the area of lust. It's not random. It's not just about personal weakness or moral failure. It's strategic. The enemy isn't threatened by the indifferent. He doesn't wage war on the spiritually stagnant. He saves his most calculated attacks for those who carry purpose, for those marked by God. When you're set apart for something greater, you become a threat to the kingdom of darkness. And the greater the light you carry, the more the shadows push back. Lust is one of the enemy's sharpest weapons in this war. Why? Because it's subtle. It disguises itself as desire, connection, comfort. It whispers lies that sound like love. And when it's left unchecked, it can fracture intimacy with God, distort identity, and slowly drain spiritual strength from the inside out. Lust isn't just about what we do with our bodies. It's about what we believe about ourselves, others, and God. The Bible doesn't shy away from this. Think of David, called, anointed, a man after God's own heart. Yet he fell hard into lust and sin, and the fallout was devastating. Then there's Samson, set apart from birth, chosen to lead and deliver Israel. But lust blinded him, both figuratively and literally, and led to his downfall. These stories aren't just cautionary tales, they're spiritual warnings. They show us how even the most gifted and godly can be torn down when they let their guard down in this area. The reality is, the higher the calling, the fiercer the warfare. When God places a mantle of leadership, influence, or spiritual authority on someone's life, the enemy's goal becomes clear: destroy the vessel before they fulfill their mission. And lust is one of the quickest ways to do that. Not because it's the worst sin, but because it touches so many layers: our emotions, our bodies, our sense of worth, and our relationship with God. But there's more. Those who are spiritually sensitive, who hear from God, feel deeply, and carry discernment, also tend to be more vulnerable to spiritual attack. Their souls are more attuned not just to divine things, but also to the noise of the world and the whispers of the enemy. When that sensitivity isn't rooted in discipline and covered in prayer, it can leave open doors for temptation to walk right in. The enemy isn't playing games. He knows your potential. And if he can't steal your calling, he'll try to seduce you away from it. Lust is the bait. Isolation, shame, and secrecy are the trap. But awareness is the first step toward victory. When we see lust not just as a struggle, but as a spiritual strategy designed to take out the called, it changes how we fight. Because now we know we're not weak, we're targeted, and that means we must stay armed, alert, and anchored in the truth. If lust is more than a physical urge, if it's truly a spiritual attack, then we need to understand the nature of the battle before we can fight it. This isn't just about behavior modification, it's about spiritual clarity. The war against lust is layered, personal, and persistent. But once we see how the enemy works, we can begin to push back, intentionally, prayerfully, and from a place of truth. Here are 5 deep-rooted reasons why chosen ones often feel this battle more intensely, and what that means for how they can rise from it. Number 1. Spiritual sensitivity attracts spiritual pressure. Those who are called by God often walk with a heightened spiritual awareness. They sense the presence of God more clearly, hear His voice more deeply, and are often more in tune with the movements of the Spirit. But that same sensitivity makes them more attuned to the schemes of the enemy. What others might brush off as a harmless thought or a passing desire, the spiritually sensitive feel at a soul level. Lust, in this context, is more than temptation. It's a distraction, a spiritual redirection. The enemy uses it to cloud discernment, to pull chosen ones away from their true assignment. And because their hearts are already open to the unseen, the enemy sneaks in through subtle suggestions and emotional openings. That's why the fight feels heavier. That's why the pull feels stronger. Number 2. Isolation makes the battle invisible. Many people called by God walk a path that others don't understand. They're often misunderstood, set apart, or even admired from a distance, but rarely deeply known. This isolation can breed loneliness, and loneliness can create the perfect storm for hidden struggles. Without close community or trusted accountability, lust becomes a private war. It festers in secrecy. What starts as an inner wrestle turns into shame, and shame fuels silence. The problem isn't just the temptation itself, it's the belief that no one else would understand. But the truth is, this is one of the most common and unspoken battles among believers. And healing begins when we bring the struggle into the light. Number 3. A higher calling invites a fiercer war. The more significant your calling, the more aggressive the attack. That's not a discouragement, it's a spiritual reality. The enemy doesn't go after what doesn't threaten him. If your life carries the potential to impact others, to break generational chains, to speak truth that sets captives free, then the enemy will do everything he can to sabotage that before it matures. Lust is a master distraction. It doesn't just break trust or lead to sin. It drains energy, it steals focus, it pollutes the well of intimacy with God. The enemy knows that if he can distort your purity, he can delay your purpose. The key is not to fear this pressure, but to prepare for it. Because once you recognize the intensity of the battle as confirmation of your calling, you can learn to fight differently. Not from panic, but from purpose. Number 4. Unhealed wounds leave the door. Open. Many of the chosen carry deep emotional wounds, wounds that often trace back to childhood, betrayal, rejection, or abandonment. These scars, when left unhealed, become cracks in the armor. Lust often enters not just through desire, but through pain. In moments of emotional weakness, lust offers itself as a counterfeit comfort. It mimics connection, intimacy, and even love. But it's hollow. It's not about sex, it's about escape. And the cycle it creates, pleasure, shame, isolation, only deepens the original wound. The way out here is not just resisting lust, it's allowing God to heal the wound beneath it. When the pain is addressed, the enemy loses his entry point. Inner healing is not a side note in this fight, it's foundational. Number 5. Great gifts require greater discipline. Finally, those who are chosen often carry powerful spiritual gifts: teaching, prophecy, leadership, creativity, discernment. But gifting isn't the same as maturity. Anointing doesn't eliminate weakness. In fact, the more gifted you are, the more you must guard your flesh. Jesus himself said, "The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." That wasn't condemnation. It was a warning wrapped in compassion. Without a rhythm of spiritual discipline, daily surrender, scripture meditation, prayer, fasting, the flesh takes the lead. And when the flesh leads, lust follows. Victory in this area doesn't come from sheer willpower. It comes from abiding, staying close to God, starving the flesh and feeding the spirit. It's a daily choice, not just to avoid sin, but to pursue the one who satisfies far more deeply than lust ever could. Understanding this battle doesn't make it go away, but it equips us to face it with clarity, courage, and compassion. The struggle with lust is real, but it's not hopeless. When you recognize it for what it is, a spiritual war waged against your purpose, you begin to fight back not with shame, but with strength. The enemy wants you isolated, confused, and defeated. But God calls you whole, healed, and victorious. The way out begins with truth, and it ends in freedom. Lust is a battle that many chosen ones face in secret, but victory is possible. Through spiritual discipline, accountability, and healing, they can overcome this struggle and continue walking in their divine purpose. The enemy's goal is to keep them trapped, but God's power is always greater. The question is, will you fight or will you fall?